Hello and good day. I'm Cumulus, and here's your astrology forecast for December 28th, 2020 through January 4th, 2021. Going into the new year, finally, we'll be able to put the year and the astrology of 2020 behind us in more than a couple ways. This looks like our last week of dealing with some of the stuff that has been pestering us throughout the year, especially the last few months here, talking about Mars position in Aries, so we'll talk about that. But we've got a full moon this week, which is going to dial the energy up for people. And we've got some alignments with Venus and Neptune, so we'll be talking about the feminine energies this week, our relationships and our interconnections with each other, and the ones that are moving forward and the ones that aren't. So we'll talk about ways to channel those energies and the signs most affected. So let's look at the notes for this coming week. We have a calmer week than the last couple of weeks, kind of. We've had all these big astrological headlines. That great conjunction, the solar eclipse a couple weeks ago. So there's still these very big cycles changing. So I'm calling it now a great transition, and it seems like that on multiple scales right now, collectively and personally, where we've made a lot of bold initiations into some new endeavors or ideas with all of this reinventive Aquarian energy with Jupiter and Saturn. They moved into Aquarius last week. We talked about that in the last video. So we're still working with these stuff day to day. We're not going to dwell on it so much in this update because we're talking about the weekly astrology level, this sort of microcosm. And so in the microcosm of this week, we're going to see the energy dialed up here with the full moon in Cancer. And especially Cancer, the sign, ruled by the moon. So I wouldn't be surprised if we had some emotional ups and downs this week, even though it's supposedly a little bit more calm on the grand scale. And especially because we've got Venus this week doing her karmic thing on the south node with Neptune, which can show us some some dissolutions of some relationships or some confusion regarding our connectivities and things like that. So this week, instead of a fired up kind of feeling, it might feel more like an emotional, you know, uh, transition of sorts, where we're dealing with these more feminine energies, what we're allowing into our new cycle, and where we're really aligning. Because sometimes when we vibe up, we move toward that north node. The south node can show us what's not coming with us. It can also show us the things we do want to take with us, though. So we'll talk about that here when we look at the calendar. And then Mars, good old Mars, the masculine energies, not in any specific angles this week. So thankfully, he's not having any direct confrontations or conversations as we've seen multiple times over the last few months. But the important thing about this headline is that Mars went retrograde, right, from September 9th through November 15th in the sign of Aries. That's like a once in 2 to 2.5 year kind of thing, right? Where we're asked to repair something or add some strength to something. It can feel a little bit lack of forward motion, can feel frustrating, that kind of thing, especially dealing with the masculine energies. We're not feeling this anymore kind of vibe. Well, that's all old news, but the reason I'm talking about it now is that Mars is moving through the same position this week that he was at the very beginning of that retrograde phase, right around the dates of late August and early September. And that day, September 9th, we're going to see some resolution is kind of what I'm getting at here, because as Mars comes back through this area, he's already been forward once, backward through once, now coming back through a third time. This is the resolution stage. So we could see some actions that align this week with ideas that we had intended or thought we needed to fix or add more energy to all the way back in the late summertime. So some might still be dealing with working out some of these old patterns or old news kinds of things. We don't want to just put them on the back burner. We want to aim for resolution going into this new year, because as soon as we get to the first week of January, Mars is going to move into Taurus, and that's going to be his first sign change since the early summertime. Mars has been in Aries since June 28th. Yeah, like 6 months in the same sign rather than 6 weeks. And Mars does like it in Aries, right? It's the move forward, let's scoot ahead kind of thing, right? So this it's not all bad, but Aries also likes new things, right? It likes to start stuff. So when we're going back over the same thing we've been over a few different times, it's like, how many times do we have to do this? You know? But it's going to be all right, because this is the last time. And then Mars will exit that shadow phase here on next Sunday. So let's take a look at the calendar. It's not quite on there, but if you have this calendar or are taking notes, you can mark it on there for Sunday being the day that Mars will be finally moving into some new energy. And then you can see right there at the bottom of the screen, moving into Taurus on Wednesday. So this week is our last hurrah, our last kind of charge at it through the sign of Aries before he gets a little more grounded. Okay. So starting the week off right here, this symbol here, the square and the south node thing there, we've got Venus doing this whole grand cross thing right now in the sky, which is very tense for our relationships sometimes, because she's asking us if we're moving forward or if we're moving backwards. We're like, is this something from the past that I don't want to relive again? Or is this something that I want to move forward into the future about? That nodal axis is all about past and future and karmic energies, soul contracts kind of thing. And interestingly enough, I know of a good handful of people, including myself, that have been thinking about doing cord cutting ceremonies lately and things like that, because this aspect of like vibing up and just sort of breaking away from some of those past patterns, everything's like very apparent, the things we've had to deal with over and over, very, very visceral this week. And adding to that, Venus is in square to Neptune. It's not exact here till Wednesday, but the moon here in Gemini, Sunday and Monday, going to activate that and bring that to the surface. And this can bring a dissolution. Neptune is like the ocean. It can come through and like wash something away. And so, we could be looking at dissolutions to some relationships or some ideas. But the opposite of that is putting on the rose-colored glasses, being like, la, 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 I don't see anything here. Everything will just get fine on its own. Happy New Year. Well, on the south node, that can where it be a little bit like sticky. It can be a little bit like getting stuck in the past sometimes regarding relationship stuff. And so having trust into that forward motion, really boldly stepping into that sort of unfamiliar territory, that's the north node, where we're like, oh, like, can I do this? Like, yes, I think, okay, let's try it, and then we do it and we're like, okay, we just kind of keep moving forward with what's giving us that, like, love. It's Venus. So on top of that, our full moon is already activating here going into Tuesday. Tuesday night at 10:28 p.m., full moon in Cancer. So the signs Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn, you all are in line for this full moon. Aries experiencing it more in the realm of home. Cancer experiencing it very personally, emotionally. Things that are special to you coming front and center. Libra looking at an illumination on the career or the forward path. And Capricorn partnerships, what's going on there? And so the sign of Capricorn needs to be extra careful right now, because you've come through a lot of stuff in 2020, and we want to make sure to start some new things, right? We want to seal the deal on something, okay? So if something has come up for partnerships, we'll know, especially because Venus is happening and we've got this full moon in Cancer bringing the emotions to the surface, what's going on there. So, excuse me, on top of all of that, um, is we're gonna go a little deep here on the on the asteroid Vesta here and the home front. Okay, Cancer is the sign of the home and the mom. It's a very nurturing, motherly energy. So for one, it's asking us, how can we take care of ourselves better? How can we give ourselves more of what we need? Where is our emotional fulfillment in these things? Or are we just sort of clicking away and doing the task to do the task? Things are like a means to an end. So goals take on a new shape with this new Aquarian energy. It's more about the fulfillment and less about the accomplishment. It's not about getting there, right? It's like, how are we feeling as we're doing it? You know? So Cancer asks us that about our home and our roots. How are we nourishing ourselves at home, and what does the home life look like? Um, and then I mentioned the asteroid Vesta, who she's not on the calendar here, but she represents our sacred home connection, the home and hearth. It's like this Kundalini energy. And this is where it goes kind of deep here for a minute, where that template of within and without, where our energies inside, match the energies outside. And so that's where we talk about how we do internal personal healing, cord cuttings and shadow work and things like that, how that changes the external reality because the inner and the outer match, right? Well, Vesta says there's one there in between, which is your home, which is your temple space. So if your body is your temple, then your home is your temple too, which is that reflection. So how do we get a little cute at home? How do we get a little connected to spirit? What are we doing on the realm of like spiritual practices or connection to that divine energy in yourself and in the universe and in your home? Where is that connection in your space? And if that's not there, Venus and the nodes of Karma and Vesta are sort of asking us that. Like, do we have a space that we really love to just like meditate, and chill out? Which is why, go back to it, that's why I chose I'm going to do this. Why I chose the lotus flower for this week, and I wore the Wonder Woman hat because it's like Venus and calm of in the center of all the madness, right? Where we're like choosing to just sort of move forward and be blessed, and like the lotus, like rise above the stuff from the past, but also learn from it and have those roots, down in the muck of like where we used to be. What are the things that we learned from these relationships? What are the things that we notice that we do want to carry forward and use as nourishment? And so that can be important here coming into the end of the week, where we get Mercury supporting our communication here after this full moon. So there's a fulfillment or illumination here midweek. But then we can put some pieces together related to these imaginative ideas here, which in my mind, on a surface level, involved reaching out to somebody from the past, whether it be past clients or a past friend or connection, and just kind of seeing what could be new there, what feels like it could be a reinvented vibe. But also knowing when to do that, not escaping the or rose-colored glasses scenario, but knowing when to dissolve those old relationships if it doesn't feel like there's more work to do, you know. So I know that's a lot, but there could be some of those karmic things that are coming to fruition this week, relationship-wise, for folks as we're making these upgrades, especially for this one. I didn't mention the signs yet. Very important: Pisces, Sagittarius, Gemini, and Virgo. Okay, you all are in a direct line starting now, with this energy related to within, without, and the relationships and all this stuff that we're talking about. Those mutable signs are the ones most affected by that. Okay, so we don't have any other aspects going into the weekend, and it looks pretty calm actually. So we'll be able to get some of this work done in resolution. And then next week we'll talk about this Mercury-Pluto conjunction, which is very empowering, but also news of transformation. And as that angle approaches with Mercury and Pluto coming up for Monday, we could see some energy this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, start to feel a little more empowering. Mercury and Pluto are acting as a team, so it's like, here are the keys to something, the keys to your plan, the keys to your life, the keys to your next adventure. It's like, how can we claim that Plutonian power and be like, here's my plan, here's what I'm doing, and really just roll the boulder down the mountain. You know what I mean? On an alternative level, these can also be, ideas or plans, of a deconstruction of sorts, or Pluto's the planet of death and rebirth, so it can be like a heavy energy, intense, where something comes down or changes in order for something new to form. So if this is part of the process, remember these two are a conjunction this time, which means they're wanting to rebirth a certain plan or certain process, and with Pluto just have this like regrowth or reemergence is the thing there too. So it's like, also, it's high power, high control, high intensity, but it's also a very, in a sense, like innocent kind of rebirth after the chaos kind of thing. So I have some trust that since that's happening right before Mars enters Taurus next Wednesday, that it could feel, yes, like more progressive and more, like we're actually onto some things, onto some new things. And coming full circle here, also Sunday being the exit of Mars from the shadow phase, from the retrograde, because after Sunday, Mars is going to be into new energy that he hasn't been for the last like couple years. So, that's our motivation. That's our passion and our drive, so we're going to be like, new things, especially Aries, right? Aries being the starter, like, okay, now we can do something new. You don't have to tell me twice, so that seems really exciting. Going into the last couple days or the first couple days of next week, and then again a little more grounded energy as Mars enters Taurus, having us really work toward creature comfort, stability, security, that kind of thing. A little more slower Taurian energy, less of an aggressive kind of confrontational vibe. Yes, we still do have to get through some tough Mars angles. We'll talk about that in the next update, because that's not till the next week. And there's going to be more of a Aquarian twist to it this time. So it could be a little exciting. So thank you so much. If you ever have any questions about anything that I mentioned in these videos, you're more than welcome to reach out and comment on the video, or subscribe if you want to see more. Also, if you want this calendar behind me, I just finished January and it took forever because there's a lot going on, but it can be fun to take notes with these videos, as we go along, and just kind of see what happens, so you can get all of that, and you can order personal readings on my website at astrologywithcumulus.com. And if you're on the social media channels too, I've got the Instagram and the Twitter going. But really important, if you benefit from these videos, if you're like resonating with them and want to help support the production of them, I do have a Patreon for that, and you can do that for as little as $1 per video if you choose the $5 option on there. There is a $50 option where you get a reading every month, just saying. Okay, lots of love to you, and I will talk to you next week. Bye-bye.